Our gospel text for today is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 11 to 15, and is made up of two parts. In the first part, Jesus speaks with the crowds when he tells them that John the Baptist was the greatest of anyone who could come. John the Baptist was a righteous man. John the Baptist was an austere man. John the Baptist was a man who was concerned about others. John the Baptist was fearless. John the Baptist was forthright. John the Baptist had a number of qualities, and John the Baptist was always listening to the promptings of God's Spirit. And yet Jesus says that no matter how great John is, the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. Why is the least in the kingdom of heaven greater than John? Because the least in the kingdom of heaven has direct access to God. Because the least in the kingdom of heaven is seeing the face of God. Because the least in the kingdom of heaven is always and every time in the presence of God. And so the striving is to reach that heaven. The striving is to open our hearts to God's grace, which God gives us in order to reach that. In the second part of this reading, Jesus speaks about how he has come to show us that way when he speaks about John as being Elijah. In the book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 5, we are told that God is going to send a messenger before God can reveal himself. And in the book of Malachi chapter 4 verse 5, that messenger is revealed as Elijah. John the Baptist is compared with Elijah. God sent Elijah in the Old Testament. He sends John now in the New Testament. And because God came after Elijah, Jesus comes after John. Jesus is saying that he is the one who will be revealed. He is the one who takes now the place of God. He now, as God's Son, has the authority to reveal God as never before. And the one way in which Jesus reveals God to us is of a God who never keeps a record of our wrongs, of a God who always forgives, of a God who always loves. And so our endeavor today is to realize first that God has spoken to us tangibly, practically, and physically in the Lord. We have only to look at the Lord. We have only to listen to the Lord. We have only to be inspired by the Lord and receive the grace that he gives freely and unconditionally to be counted among those who see the face of God in heaven, to be the least in the kingdom of heaven, and to be, in that sense, greater than John. How will you imitate the Lord in your life today? What one quality of the Lord will you pick up and act on today?